Rao City First High School had stood for a century. Every year, it sent students to Qingda University and Beijing University, and its alumni list read like a celebrity roll call. In Rao City, it was the school. On the first morning of the new term, traffic slowed at the gates as parents dropped off their kids. Among the cars, a royal blue Bentley drew every eye. Qiao Weiman sat behind the wheel, basking in the attention, while Qiao Chun lifted her chin and accepted the envy as if it were owed. Qiao Nian spared them a glance, hitched her bag higher, and slipped through the gates without a word. To her, they were strangers on a crowded street. From the corner of her eye, Qiao Chun caught a familiar silhouette in a blue jacket. She tugged her father's sleeve and pointed. "Dad, is that my sister? Looks like her from the back." By the time Qiao Weiman turned, the figure had already vanished into the crowd. He frowned, dismissive. "Forget her. You won't be in the same class. If you meet her on campus, pretend you don't know her." Qiao Chen's lips curved. That suited her. With grades like Qiao Nian's, she'd be dumped in Class D or F, maybe even S, the school's joke of the class. Clouds and dirt, that was the difference between them. Her friends arrived just then, and she pushed the thought away to laugh with Zhao Jingwei and the others. Outside the principal's office, Qiao Nian knocked. "Come in." The office was spacious and bright. A line of green plants softened the front of a wide desk. The walls were crowded with bookcases. She skimmed the spines, original English editions, most of them, then shut the door behind her. There were several people inside. The first to speak was a man in his early 40s with a portfolio under his arm. His hair was thin and his skin wind-browned, but his eyes were sharp. He stared, surprised, then flipped quickly through the papers in his hand. "Student Qiao Nian, right?" The ID photo showed a grainy, plain girl taken in bad light. The real person in front of him, cool, striking, a little unruly, didn't match at all. The Dean of Studies looked again. "Are you Qiao Nian?" She felt his gaze linger and let the corner of her brow tilt, casual. "I am." "Hello, teacher." "Oh, hello. Sit down, please." Around the room, teachers who'd been sorting files looked up. Attention shifted to her in an instant. Chun, she was among them. She blinked, thinking she was mistaken, and nudged the colleague beside her. "Alu, is that the transfer student?" Class C's homeroom teacher, an honest-faced man, peered over. "She's the only one, and if the principal called her in, it must be her. Pretty sharp look, that kid. I wonder how her grades are." Chun, she remembered what Qiao Weiman had said on the phone the day before. He pressed his lips together and murmured, "Her grades aren't good." "That's typical for students who pull strings to transfer," someone replied. "We don't take that in our class. It's the third year, too close to the college entrance exam. If her results are poor, she'll drag down the average." Old Lou from Class C nodded. True, the teachers had their own calculus. Year-end bonuses lived and died by class scores. No one wanted to take a loss for nothing. Chun-Shi sifted through the stack on her desk, pulled out her students' files, and hugged them to her chest. "I've sorted my class documents. Old Lou, I'll head back." "The transfer student's already here," he said, startled. "Aren't you going to see how she tests?" Chun-Shi had already promised Qiao Weiman. Qiao Nian wouldn't be joining her class. Whether the girl tested well or not didn't matter. And in her mind, Class B was out of the question anyway. "No, I'm going early. I've got good news to announce." Old Lou had heard. Envy flickered across his face. "Qiao Chun from your class already has a reserve place at Rennie, right? The notice boards are full of it. You're about to be the homeroom teacher of a future star. Don't forget us when you're famous." Chun-Shi laughed. "I'll go first." The Dean of Studies brought Qiao Nian a test paper, a scrap sheet, and a pen. "The principal isn't here yet. Sit here and start. I'll grade it when you finish. The principal will decide your placement." "Okay." Qiao Nian skimmed the paper. As she expected, surface-level questions. Absurd but typical. Exams rarely measured what life demanded. Seeing her pause, the dean softened his tone. "It covers English, Chinese, physics, and chemistry. You have 90 minutes. Don't rush quality over quantity." She nodded, set the school pen aside, and took a black gel pen from her bag. "Take your time," he reminded, then turned to help the other teachers with materials. Cheating didn't worry him. Cameras watched every angle, and half the staff were present. If a transfer student cheated here, it would only prove poor judgment. Half an hour later, Qiao Nian set down her pen. "Teacher, I'm done." The dean blinked, surprised, and walked over. "So fast? Don't you want to check?" She capped her pen, voice cool. "No need." He lifted the paper. Every question was answered. Still, he dutifully said, "This affects your class placement. You should take it seriously." Qiao Nian looked up. "I did. Very seriously." For once it was true. Realizing she meant it, the dean exhaled. "All right, I'll mark it." Around them, the other teachers drifted closer, curious to see how the transfer student had done.
Hey everyone, Fire Scale Audiobooks here. If there's a novel you'd love to hear more of, you can support us on Patreon or Ko-fi. Depending on your tier, I'll make extra parts just for the stories you're most excited about. Usually I can only upload 4 to 5 parts of each novel, but with your support we can go beyond that. And of course, don't forget to hit subscribe. It helps more than you know.
The principal's office was silent for 10 minutes. The dean of teaching hadn't written anything on the paper with his red pen yet. His expression was serious as he looked left and right of the paper uneasily. Eventually, he got up and said, "Hold on, I'll take a look at the surveillance footage." The other teachers were slightly confused. What's he looking at the surveillance footage for? Class C's head teacher picked up Qiao Nian's paper. The dean had been in their line of sight, so the teachers didn't manage to see the paper clearly. The other teachers now came forward and scanned the paper together. Multiple choice questions, perfectly done. Open-ended questions, perfectly done. They compared her answers to the model answers by the side and got increasingly surprised. They could barely believe their eyes. All questions correct. The next page as well. And the following. How is this possible? The teachers' expressions changed as they turned towards Qiao Nian. Qiao Nian's pretty face was almost expressionless. She didn't look at the teachers. It seemed as if she was so confident in her answers, she wasn't even interested in the marking process. She appeared to be scrolling through her phone notifications. "Jiangli, Nian Nian, second bro has some work to attend to tonight and won't be available. Don't stray too far from school when you're done. I'll get Master Wang to fetch you." Qiao Nian replied to him. The next moment, another message came in. "Yi Wang Chuan, how's the examination?" Qiao Nian raised her brows slightly and typed the reply. Another message came in from him. "Yi Wang Chuan, do you want to join Class A? I can let the school know." HM. Qiao Nian squinted as she kept her eyes on her cell phone screen. She made sure that her response was just ordinary and did not suggest anything extraordinary about her performance. As far as she knew, Rao City's first high school was very strict with its regulations. They were already making an exception for her when they allowed her to transfer in her 3rd year. What exactly was his background that he was able to decide which class she'd join? Student Qiao Nian. Before she managed to send a reply message, the dean of teaching called her. She placed her cell phone back in her bag, picked up her belongings, and went to him. There was an anonymous post on the first high school forum all of a sudden. "Damn, the new transfer student got full marks for her entrance examination and got into Class A." Not many people saw it initially, but as more comments came in, it shifted higher on the webpage. 7th. OP, original poster. "Must be kidding, our school's papers are so freaking hard. How could anyone score full marks?" 8th. If anyone scores full marks on our school's paper, I'll live stream myself eating sh*t. 9th. All right, a previous commenter. If there really is a miracle, don't worry. You won't have enough sh*t. I'll gladly sponsor it for you. 10th. Sponsor +1. 27th. Protect OP. Don't worry, I won't shut you down like they do. I'll just watch you talk crap. Zhao Jingwei was scrolling through her cell phone as Qiao Chen walked back to the classroom building. The most popular post on the forum now was about Qiao Chen's reserve spot in Reni. She congratulated Qiao Chen while scrolling through the newest notifications. "Chen Chen, your post is super popular. You're really the school belle. So many people are onto you." Qiao Chen smiled elegantly. "I'm all right. Everyone's just excited because it's Ren E. Ren-yi was practically the Tsinghua University and Peking University of the humanities field. It was one of the most renowned schools in the capital. It was no wonder Qiao Chun was so proud. Zhao Jingwei knew what Qiao Chen's results were like and was envious that she had rich parents. She was busy scrolling and got stunned for a moment when she read the post just under Qiao Chen's. Her face was filled with incredulity. What's this? The transfer student scored full marks for her entrance examination? Wasn't that the fake rich girl from Qiao Chen's family? Her classes. P.S. The new transfer student is also really pretty. Zhao Jingwei went through all the comments and was in disbelief by the time she read the last one. Chen Chun, did your sister report to school today as well? Qiao Chun had shoved Qiao Nian to the back of her mind. She'd been busy thinking about how everyone would act around her after news about her going to Ren-yi broke out. She couldn't wait to get to class and was hence distracted this whole time. I think so. What? Zhao Jingwei said, didn't you say your sister's results aren't good? There's a post on the school forum that said the transfer student scored full marks in the entrance examination. It can't possibly be her, right? Qiao Chun stopped in her tracks and snatched her cell phone. Let me see it. Seeing that her expression was turning awful, Zhao Jingwei tried to suggest otherwise. It can't be her if her results aren't usually good. If it really was her, she'd have entered first high school back then. Why would she need to transfer in now? Our school probably poached some star student from another school. Qiao Chun turned pale as she tightened her grip on the cell phone. She was so close to smashing Zhao Jingwei's cell phone. Zhao Jingwei's heart ached for her phone, but she dared not ask for it. Right then, someone walked in their direction. The person was wearing a hoodie that reached her thighs. She was likely wearing shorts underneath, and her long and slender legs were exposed. The pretty face was much more exquisite than Qiao Chen's, and her aura was amazing. Qiao Chun. Zhao Jingwei grabbed Qiao Chen's hand. Qiao Chun forced a smile and called out, "Sister." Qiao Nian pretended not to see the two of them and simply said, "Excuse me." Qiao Chen's expression darkened immediately as she made way for the arrogant figure walking past Class B and heading straight for Class A. Zhao Jingwei's eyes widened as she mumbled, "The person in the post was really Qiao Nian. How did her results get so good?" Qiao Chun was frustrated and didn't feel like responding to her. She recalled that Qiao Nian's results were impressive in elementary school, and that Qiao Nian topped the cohort yearly. Her results only slipped in middle school. But each time she asked Qiao Nian for help in predicting questions, Qiao Nian always managed to do it. Having heard that a new student was joining them, the Class A students were busy chattering instead of studying, as usual. Until Qiao Nian walked in. All the guys in class kept their eyes on her. Damn, this new student was too beautiful, even more so than Qiao Chun from Class B. The girl sized Qiao Nian up quietly. Qiao Nian scanned the surroundings for a seat. Shun Qingqing, one of the student committee members, got up and waved towards her. "New classmate, you can sit beside me. There's no one in this seat." Qiao Nian walked over with her bag and placed it on the desk beside Shun Qingqing. She took a seat. "Hi, I'm Shun Qingqing." A hand appeared before Qiao Nian. It was fair and chubby, with neatly trimmed nails. She looked up to see a chubby face with a sweet smile and a dimple. It was full of innocence and extremely adorable as it looked at Qiao Nian with admiration. "You must be Qiao Nian. I saw the post about you on the school forum. You're amazing." Qiao Nian stuffed her bag under her desk and shook her hand. "Thank you, Qiao Nian. Wow, so cool." Shun Qingqing's face went red, and she couldn't look away from Qiao Nian. This new classmate's fingers were so long, but her hand was a little cold. Did she catch a cold in the breeze outside? Shun Qingqing quickly patted herself on the face to dissipate the warmth and redness in her cheeks, and then quietly closed the windows by her desk. She even kicked the chair of the classmate in front. "Xiao Han, I'm cold. Shut the windows." "It's August. How are you cold?" The classmate in front seemed to grumble, but complied anyway and shut the windows thoughtfully. Qiao Nian reached for the chewing gum bottle in her bag, but did not take it out. Her dark and beautiful eyes gazed at her new desk mate. She kept quiet as she continued searching through her bag until she found something. She handed it to her desk mate and said, "For you." What's this? Shun Qingqing intuitively accepted the item Qiao Nian handed her. It was a thin bracelet with a round and sparkly little pendant. She held the pendant up and saw that there was an extra bright crystal on the inside which glistened beautifully in the sunlight. She couldn't help but gasp as she looked even more closely at the bracelet. Qiao Nian, are you really giving this to me? It's so beautiful. It was too beautiful. She'd never seen such a pretty bracelet in her life. The crystal inside looked like a real diamond. Qiao Nian smiled when she saw how much she liked it. A friend gave it to me, but I don't wear such stuff. Rather than leaving it in my bag, it's better if someone who likes it gets to wear it. You can keep it. Shun Qingqing merrily kept the gift but felt bad about it. Thank you. I'll get you a small gift another day, too. Qiao Nian looked up at her with those eyes full of life, while her long legs were casually crossed under the desk. Shun Qingqing felt electrocuted by her gaze. No need. Shun Qingqing felt her heart skip a beat again. Why did this new classmate look so suave? She touched her warm cheeks again and mumbled, You've already gotten me something. It wouldn't be nice if I don't get you one. If you won't accept my gift, then I can't accept this one too. She placed the bracelet on the desk in front of Qiao Nian while looking at it longingly. It was evident that she loved it. Qiao Nian raised a brow as she looked at how expectant Shun Qingqing seemed. Then, Qiao Nian nodded a little helplessly. All right then. At this point, the head teacher entered the classroom and tapped on his desk. Everyone scurried back to their respective seats. The teacher started by talking about some administrative matters like every first day of the school year. Qiao Nian was bored and happened to feel her cell phone vibrate. She took it out. A notification had come in. There wasn't a name, just a string of strange Roman numerals that made up the full ID. Big boss, your goods are here. It'll start auctioning in about an hour. Quickly get over here. Qiao Nian replied instantly. Okay. Once the teacher was done talking, he started getting students to move some books over. Shun Qingqing was part of the student committee and began delegating the work among her classmates. Qiao Nian got up and packed her bag. She zipped it up and slung it over her shoulder, saying, I have something on later and need to leave first. Help me let the teachers know. You're leaving right now? Shun Qingqing was stunned. Qiao Nian was quick. She had packed her items in no time and picked up her cell phone resting on the desk. Sorry to trouble you. But the teacher, before she was done talking, she saw that her new desk mate had already left without even taking another look. Shun Qingqing was getting anxious. There was a school opening ceremony later. What if the teacher realized that Qiao Nian wasn't around? Rouse City's underground auction venue. There were all sorts of luxury cars parked outside an ordinary and modest bar. Qiao Nian handed the cab fare to the driver and casually bought a cap from street stall. It covered much of her face, revealing only her exquisite chin. She followed the crowd inside. My little ancestor, you're finally here. Yuan Yongqin recognized Qiao Nian in the crowd right away and grabbed her by the elbow. Hurry, the auction has started. The bar looked rather run down on the outside, but it was a stark contrast on the inside. It was oddly spacious, and there was a lowered auction platform in the middle. Around it was little private rooms. From the private rooms, one could clearly see what was being auctioned in the middle of the bar. But from the platform, one couldn't quite see what was going on in the private rooms. There was an area at the entrance to check through the guests' invitations. Qiao Nian saw a bulge in one of the security officer's pockets. Given its size, it was likely a weapon. Wei Lu's place wasn't too shabby. Qiao Nian put her hand in her pockets and followed Yuan Yongqin in. The auction had commenced with much excitement. In private room B02, Fu Xinian couldn't sit at ease and constantly turned to look in Yi Wangchuan's direction. Yi Wangchuan appeared to be disinterested in the auction and was fiddling with a vaping device in his hands. He was such a handsome and attractive man, but he just appeared too serious. His sleeve was rolled up slightly on one side to reveal his strong wrists and the beaded bracelets on it. Wangchuan, the auction is already in full force. Are you still not making a bid? Fu Xinian couldn't help but ask. Yi Wangchuan looked up at him without shifting his posture. No rush. The bodyguard standing by his side explained to him. Young Master Fu, the item Master Wang wants isn't out yet. Fu Xinian pursed his lips. He wanted to ask what exactly Yu Wangchuan was waiting for, but upon considering that this man's background was extraordinary and their relationship was civil at best, he decided to hold back his question. Some time passed. Finally, another auctioneer took over. A young man had taken over the previous older auctioneer. He looked about 24 and seemed like a harmless young man. But around his neck was a human skull pendant that didn't seem to fit his persona. The best has yet to come. I believe most of you are here for exactly what's coming. I shall not waste any more time talking. Present the items. Two slender models, standing at about 1.70 m, came forward with a tray. They removed the red velvet cloth on the tray, unveiling the item. A block resembling both meat and fungus sat on the tray. 1 kilogram of meat Ganoderma. The seller asked for a starting price of 2 million yuan. Every bid must have an increment of 100,000 yuan. Fu Xinian had been in Rao City for so long, and this was the first time he'd seen the legendary meat Ganoderma. His eyes went blank. He was about to ask something when he heard the man who'd been silent this whole time say all of a sudden, for million yuan. A 2 million yuan increment at a go. He was stunned. He knew that Yu Wangchuan had called him here just to see this. At the same time, in private room B01. Following the bids closely, Yuan Yongqin asked Qiao Nian, someone bidded 4 million yuan. Do we go ahead? Qiao Nian narrowed her eyes as she looked at the precious item on the tray. Yes, I want this, whatever it takes. Yuan Yongqin nodded, then her gaze hardened. She walked to the balcony area and looked downwards at the platform, then held up the placard. B01, 4.3 million yuan. There were others on the lower platform watching the auction take place. C09, 4.4 million yuan. B01, 5 million yuan. F08, 5.1 million yuan. Qiao Nian was using her phone while keeping track of the bids, not looking pressurized at all. Yuan Yongqin followed 8 bids as the number of bidders waned. Only the people in the private room beside theirs called out increasingly high prices, and each time they took it up a whole notch. B02, 7 million yuan. Fu Xinian called out for 10 consecutive rounds. He broke out in sweat as he saw the bid approach 10 million yuan. It was just a Chinese medicine that was said to be good. There wasn't even actual proof of it working magic. Was it really worth this much money? But Yu Wangchuan did not tell him to stop, so he continued to raise the price. B01, 7.3 million yuan. B02, 7.8 million yuan. B01, 8 million yuan. The auctioneer echoed their bids continuously. There were many bidders at first, but eventually it became a two-way fight in the B zone. B01 and B02 were against each other while everyone watched on. Who are those people in B01 and B02? It's just a meat Ganoderma. Do they have to go to this extent? Tisk, it's almost 8 million yuan. In private room B02, Fu Xinian went pale as sweat gathered on his forehead. His brows were knitted together as he paced up and down the room with his eyes on the other man. Wangchuan, it's 8 million yuan now. Are we going ahead? Yi Wangchuan's lips were pursed into a straight line. He hadn't expected anyone to still be holding it out. Fu Xinian tried to persuade him. I know you want to get this for Chun Shun and see if it could cure him of his illness. But honestly, nobody actually knows whether this would be effective. Medical technology is so advanced now. Chun Shun will get well one day. You don't have to spend this money. Yi Wangchuan looked extremely serious as he tossed the vaping device onto the table. He then looked up and instructed Gu San, find out who's in the room beside ours. Yes, Master Wang. Gu San hurried out the door. Wangchuan, you? Fu Xinian stopped mid-sentence. Yi Wangchuan squinted slyly. One more. Fu Xinian had no choice but to raise the placard again. B02, 8.9 million yuan. Qiao Nian was playing on her cell phone in the private room when Wei Lu's message came in. Wei Lu 100 feet tall. Qiao Nian, you've really summoned the devil. I see that neither of you is giving up, and it's already at 8.9 million yuan. Tisk, you're going to go bankrupt. Yuan Yongqin hadn't expected it to turn out like this, too. She turned around to discuss with Qiao Nian, The other party is bidding 8.9 million yuan. If we go higher, the other party will follow. What do we do? Qiao Nian looked up, and her eyes appeared wilder than ever. Go straight to 10 million yuan. Let them follow up if they want to. She had some money. 10 million yuan wouldn't bankrupt her. She wanted to see how far the people in the next room would go. There was an uproar when B01 came up with their 10 million yuan bid. Master Wang, I checked it out. Gusen returned to B02 very soon. Who is it? Fu Xinyan's expression was awful. Gusen didn't look at him and instead reported to Yi Wanchuan directly. The buyer in the private room beside ours is the boss of Chung Phone Corporation, Yuan Yongqin. Chung Phone Corporation? Yi Wanchuan stroked the beads on his bracelet as he thought deeply. He narrowed his eyes. What does she want to meet Ganoderma for? That, I'm not too sure. Chung Phone Corporation was a large establishment in the capital. They started off as distributors of diamonds, but after making a name for themselves in the capital, they turned towards other industries as well and became huge investors. They did especially well in the film industry. Percent of the cinema chains in the entire country were under Chung Phone Corporation. The Yuan family were rather known in the capital, but in recent years, they have been dealing with internal problems as family members vied for assets. With that, they were slowly losing their power and status. Back then, Yuan Yongqin had been chased out of the Yuan family by a few of her older brothers. They'd thought that this woman would end up down and out, but who would have known that the tables would turn? She rose with Chung Phone Corporation and ended up doing better than the entire Yuan family now. Evidently, Fu Xinyan had heard of Chung Phone Corporation as well. He was stunned for a second before shifting closer to Yi Wanchuan. Chung Phone Corporation? I remember that my brother's girlfriend's family is on good terms with their company. They've been getting the Qiao family to build most of their cinemas recently. The gavel was about to sound. Fu Xinyan turned around and said, "There's no good in bidding any further. I'll get his girlfriend's father to speak to Chung Feng's boss tomorrow. We'll see if she's willing to let us have them meet Ganoderma. 10 million yuan going twice." The auctioneer announced, "One last chance. Place your bids now, or the offer is finalized. 10 million yuan going thrice." The gavel sounded, putting an end to this bid. Gu San turned to look at Master Wang. He wanted to take a photo of that expression so badly, but did not have the guts to. He couldn't believe that Master Wang actually did not manage to get something despite wanting it. How powerful was Chung Phone Corporation's Yuan Yongqin? Yi Wanchuan got up and glanced at the platform downstairs. He straightened his shirt with an unreadable expression on his face. Forget it. This isn't the only place with meat Ganoderma. I'll get it when I see it again. I have something on. I'll go first. The girl was about to be done with her classes. He picked up the vaping device and left. On the other side, Yuan Yongqin smiled at Qiao Nian and said, "I'll make the payment." Qiao Nian looked at the time on her cell phone and packed her belongings. She stood up and said, "I'm supposed to be done with my classes about now. Aunt Yuan, please handle the rest from here. I'll get going." Yuan Yongqin was used to Qiao Nian's solitary ways and waved her off. "All right, go on. I'll bring it to the clinic for you." "Okay." Qiao Nian casually picked up her bag and lowered her cap, hiding her exquisite face. This wasn't the first time she came to Wei Lu's auction. Many people were leaving after the auction, so Qiao Nian managed to slip out with them. The sun was about to set. She took a glance at her cell phone. There were no missed calls. She was about to flag a cab to return to school when she heard a seductive voice. "Qiao Nian." There was an evident shock in those intimidating eyes of Yi Wanchuan when he saw the girl turn around. He stepped on his lit cigarette and strode over. He rose a brow and grabbed her left wrist. "What are you doing here?" Qiao Nian felt a wave of oppression as a shadow loomed over her. Moreover, he was holding on to her. She felt her head throb again, and she did all she could to not shake him off. Instead, she said casually, "I heard there's a good milk tea shop around here. I came to get it. Get milk tea." Yi Wanchuan furrowed his brows. He had no idea if there was a milk tea shop on this street, but he knew of a few bars. He had been smoking around the corner when he overheard some men talking about nice legs and decided to follow their gaze. He then ended up finding her standing by the roadside, completely unaware Yi Wangchuan exerted some force on his temple to ease his frustration, then asked in a low voice, "So, have you gotten it?" Qiao Nian showed her free hands and answered very easily, "I did. It tasted ordinary. I only had half of it," and threw the remaining into the bin. Yi Wangchuan had never interacted with people of her age, but he thought about how he used to be at 18 and felt that he wasn't like her, who seemed to exude wildness even in her eyes, almost like an untamable wolf. Her eyes were full of madness and free will. "Shouldn't you be in school at this time?" Qiao Nian was so calm. She didn't look like someone who'd been caught playing truant. She gave him some nonsensical reason in a surprisingly serious manner. "It's the first day of school, so we didn't have any lessons. It ended early, and I came to get some milk tea." He considered her words thoughtfully and then released her hand. His stiff expression softened as well. "Have you eaten? Let's go. Brother will give you a treat." Qiao Nian eyed him in shock. "You're really going to treat me?" Yi Wangchuan found her reaction amusing. He got closer to her ear and said almost flirtatiously, "Why not? Well, you could treat me too. I wouldn't mind that. Come on, it's on me. You can have anything you like." Qiao Nian seemed to scrutinize him with her dark eyes. "Anything at all?" Yi Wangchuan wasn't really expecting her to treat him, anyway. As he looked at her long and lush lashes which curled up slightly, he couldn't even help but smile a little. He found it pretty adorable. "Yes, anything at all. Just let me know what you feel like eating." The wildness in Qiao Nian's eyes seemed to have been set free as she smiled. "All right, you said so." 20 minutes later, Master Wang was standing before a small stall by the roadside. There wasn't even a shelter for that stall. He simply couldn't take a step. "We're here." Qiao Nian seemed to feel a home around here as she greeted the boss. "Aunt Chun, how's business today?" There was just a single trishaw by the road, with a few planks of wood on it. A clean and simple tablecloth was draped over the planks, and about 20 plastic baskets were laid out neatly on the makeshift table. Vegetable and meat skewers were placed into the baskets. There was a pot of soup right on the inside of the trishaw, now hot with steam. A woman in her early 40s was busying herself with it. The woman was evidently happy to see Qiao Nian and smiled despite how busy she was. She greeted in return, "Nian Nian, you're here." School ended early today, so I came to have a look." Qiao Nian seemed to be rather close to her. There was a sort of comfort and familiarity in the way she spoke. Yi Wangchuan had never seen her at ease like now. His frown eased as well. This was his first time at a roadside stall. While he wasn't very particular about where to dine at, this place that Qiao Nian took him to was out of his expectations. They were at the corner around a cross junction, and the pavement was especially wide. 30 tables were set up around the trishaw, and the seats were all snapped up even before it was 7 in the evening. Most of the customers here were young people, and some of them were in school uniforms, likely from the schools nearby. The smoke in the air carried the thick scent of spices from the pot. Qiao Nian spoke to the middle-aged woman for a while, and then got him to find table. This was the peak hour as it was the end of the day for school students and working adults. The 30 tables filled up very quickly. Fortunately, they managed to get a table in the corner. Yi Wangchuan saw her place her cell phone on the table as a form of reservation before turning to ask him, "Do you want chili in your mala soup base?" Yi Wangchuan stood out in the crowd because of his height and demeanor. He eyed the bowl the young man beside him was eating out of. There was a layer of chili oil in the white bowl. His throat felt scratchy before even eating anything. "Add less of that." Qiao Nian seemed rather excited about this and gestured back at him. "Okay, how about blood curds?" Everyone in the capital knew that Master Wang never touched such strange types of food. He wouldn't eat internal organs of any animals, not even foie gras. It wasn't that he disliked it, but that he developed an allergic reaction. Yi Wangchuan rubbed his temple. He could feel a headache setting in. When he responded, his voice was low and almost seductive. "I don't want that. Just give me a bowl of the ordinary noodles." Qiao Nian blinked a few times at him. She then looked at him with her huge and dark eyes, as if she'd just discovered his weakness. She asked casually, "You can't eat internal organs?" Yi Wangchuan had no idea how she could tell that. He hadn't said it himself. Before he could say anything, the beautiful and suave girl had already looked away and was prepared to get the food. No organs whatsoever and less chilly. Right? I got it. The tables and stools by the stall were pocket-sized to him. The table was less than half a meter high, and the plastic stool was even lower than that. He felt as if it was a child's tea party play date. The good thing, however, was that the boss was a clean and neat lady. Hence, even though the setting was simple, it didn't feel dirty. He pulled a stool out and took a seat. He was tall and had long limbs, so it was a little awkward to take a seat on the tiny stool. He felt as if there was no good way to position his legs. This was the first time Yuan put himself in such an uncomfortable situation. He felt more pathetic than when he had to dodge flying bullets. It's here. Qiao Nian returned very quickly with 2 bowls. The bowls were evidently piping hot as steam lingered around the surfaces. This is yours. There's less chili. A bowl of sour and spicy noodles was placed before him, and the scent hit him immediately. He could see a very thin layer of chili oil in the soup. It didn't seem too spicy indeed. This is mine. Qiao Nian pulled a stool out and took a seat. She had her noodles too, but the soup was a much brighter red. There was a thicker layer of oil in her soup, and also some bean sprouts and duck's blood curd besides noodles. She got a pair of disposable chopsticks from the chopstick holder on the table and handed them to him. She then took a pair for herself. She seemed to be in a good mood. You've got to have the mala soup while it's hot. Aunt Chen's cooking is really good. All the students and working adults nearby enjoy coming here to eat. Get a try. Yuan looked at how much she seemed to be enjoying her food and felt as if his appetite had been whetted as well. He dipped his chopsticks into his bowl and tried some. The noodles had absorbed the soup well and were packed with taste, while the bean sprouts were freshly prepared before being added into the soup and so retained some of its lightness. He had never had such a dining experience by the roadside before and hadn't expected it to taste this good. The tips of his lips curled up and the coldness in his eyes dissipated. Like Qiao Nian, his shoulders were now relaxed. He leaned back and casually asked, "Did you patronize this mala soup store often in the past? You seemed really close with the store owner." Qiao Nian happily ate the noodles she had been craving and answered without looking up, "Not that often, but when I'm free I would come by." Aunt Chen used to work as a helper for the Qiao family, but she stopped working for them and set up this stall. The vegetables and meat she serves are the freshest from the market. They're also more hygienic than the restaurants nearby. It was the first time Yuan heard her mention her foster family. His eyes deepened, and he was about to speak. Suddenly, the girl sitting opposite him frowned, put down her chopsticks, and said with her jaw tightened, "You eat first. I'm heading there for a moment." She stood up and walked towards the tricycle. Yuan turned around and realized a few hooligans in ripped jeans were picking and messing up the vegetables placed neatly in the basket. "Didn't I give you 200 yuan just the day before? You ran out of money again." From afar, Qiao Nian heard Aunt Chen's heartbreaking and helpless voice. Among the bunch of hooligans, a young man's prepubescent voice said impatiently, "That bit of money wasn't enough. Mom, I need more." "No way." Aunt Chen slapped away his hand that was extending toward her wallet. Protecting her wallet, she said, "This money is for your dad's hospitalization bills. You can't take it." The young man drew his hand back, hesitating. His companion next to him booed. "How old are you, Chen Yuan, to still be asking for money from your mom and dare not to take when she doesn't give it to you? Shut up." The group of punks weren't afraid of him and continued mocking him. "If it was me, I would just snatch it from the old woman. Who cares if she's willing? It's considered your own money, and the business here is so good. Would this amount even make a difference? Your dad has been hospitalized for more than a year. Just let him die. You save money, and he's freed from the suffering." "Hey, what are you doing?" The young man with a prepubescent voice suddenly rushed forward and punched the face of the speaking man. "I'm asking you to shut up." "Shut up." The others, shocked to see that the little guy who always followed them around actually dared to be violent, spat and flexed their fists as they moved forward to surround them. The middle-aged woman had never encountered such a scene in her life and couldn't care less about her stall. She rushed forward as she watched her son about to get into a fight with the young punks. "Stop fighting. All of you stop fighting. Go away, old woman." Before she was able to do anything, One of the punks shook her hand off viciously and was about to hit her. Aunt Chen was terrified, watching as the fist as big as a bowl almost landed on her face. A slender hand stretched out and grabbed it while supporting her at the same time. Rubbish should stay in the rubbish chute. Why are you out here causing a fuss? Stunned, she turned and saw Qiao Nian's small and porcelain face. With trembling lips, she called out, Nian, Nian Nian. Shit, where did this little girl come from? Stay out of this. Otherwise, I'll beat you up as well, shouted the man whose hand was grabbed by Qiao Nian. Aunt Chen came back to her senses and looked at Qiao Nian anxiously. Nian Nian, leave quickly. These are all local rascals. Don't mess with them, she said hurriedly. Qiao Nian didn't care about the gangsters. She pointed to the vegetables that had been stepped on and asked, Did you do this? The gangster was stunned for a bit and then mocked her. So what if we did this? It's nothing much, but you have to compensate. She was straightforward. The gangster was amused by her words and looked at her wantonly. Sure, tell me your school and class. I'll go to your school and pay you next time. The wildness in Qiao Nian's eyes ignited. She laughed and said, I'm not free. How about today? Ha 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 today? Sure, there's a hotel nearby. You sleep with me and I will pay you any amount you want. I can even pay with my life. Nian Nian. Aunt Chen turned pale. She tugged on Qiao Nian's arm and shook her head in fear of her revealing her school. It's okay. I don't need compensation. Don't worry, Ani is okay. Even though her son wasn't worthy, she couldn't implicate Qiao Nian, else she wouldn't feel at ease for her entire life. Qiao Nian pulled her to a safe location and said, Aunt Chen, stay here. I will help you to get your money back. I don't want it. Nian Nian, don't go. The gangster saw what they were doing and walked over unhappily, reaching out to grab Qiao Nian's shoulder. Qiao Nian narrowed her eyes and was about to dodge. Then, a big hand grabbed the gangster's hand and twisted it, causing him to scream in pain. Are you okay? Yi Wangchuan asked as he came over. His bloodshot eyes felt cold. Qiao Nian almost forgot that he was still there. She nodded. At this time, the gangster suddenly turned violent and grabbed onto a stool from the ground. As he was about to smash it on them, he said, You bitch! How dare you be so shameless? You must have a death wish. Yi Wangchuan pulled her behind him and spoke in a low voice. Women shouldn't fight. Go stand at the side. Just as the gangster rushed towards them with the stool, the tall and handsome man lifted his leg. With a sharp motion, the gangster was sent flying. The plastic stool smashed onto the ground into pieces. The fight was more like abuse. Qiao Nian raised her brows and watched him. TSK. I didn't expect him to know how to fight, given his slender and pale looks. There were a lot of people eating at the store, and many people started watching from the side. It didn't take long for the cross junction to be extremely crowded. Someone had already called the police as the gangster was causing trouble. The policeman hurried over, but the fight had already ended. 7 to 8 gangsters were lying on the ground. A strong man in his early 20s was standing beside a young lady who seemed to be the other party involved. They didn't understand the situation, so they brought both parties to the police station according to the law. Aunt Chen's son was severely injured and was sent to the hospital. Before Qiao Nian got into the car, she gave her the money she got from the gangster and consoled her. I'll visit Uncle Chen in the hospital in a few days and bring you something. It's soup. Get to Uncle Chen. It's good for his recovery. The middle-aged lady nodded continuously with tears in her eyes. She grabbed her hand tightly and said apologetically, Nian Nian. I'm sorry. Qiao Nian's heart ached, and she patted her hand. It's nothing. Aunt Chen, don't worry. The nurse from the ambulance urged her. She raised her eyes to look at the young man and said sincerely, Mister, thank you for today. If not for Nian Nian and her friend, she couldn't imagine how Chen Yuan would have ended up today. However, Qiao Nian had to go to the police station because of her. She was extremely apologetic. As the door of the ambulance closed, she took out her cell phone and dialed a number she hadn't called for a long time. Hello, Chairman Qiao. In the rose garden in the Qiao family's villa. Qiao Weiman just reached home when he received Aunt Chen's call. He irritably pulled off his tie and handed it to Shun Xiongji, saying, Wait. Aunt Shun is calling me. Shun Xiongji asked in surprise, Why is she calling you? I don't know. The Qiao family's arrogance seemed to be engraved on their bones. Shun Xiongji frowned and said unhappily, "Does she want to borrow money from you? I heard that her family is living miserably now. Her husband is suffering from a strange disease and hasn't recovered after a year in the hospital." After all, Aunt Chun was related to his mother-in-law. Aunt Chin's mother and her mother-in-law were cousins. One married a small local boss, while the other married a poor man. Afterward, Yuan followed her husband to develop the city. Aunt Chin's family stayed in the house. After she gave birth, her family needed help. Yuan didn't want to help out with the children and got her niece to help. She was Aunt Chun. From the beginning, Aunt Chun helped her out a lot. However, she realized that Aunt Chun was treating Qiao Nian better than Qiao Chun. She was buying Qiao Nian candy behind her back and brought Qiao Nian to her house to play. As a result, she found a reason to dismiss her out of anger. After all, Qiao Nian wasn't her biological daughter, and Qiao Chun was her precious son. Qiao Weiman picked up the phone and said she has never asked to borrow money from Mom. It doesn't make sense if she wants to borrow money now. No matter what, let me pick up the call first. Shun Xiongji helped him to keep his clothes and said, if she wants to borrow money, don't lend her too much. 10 or 20,000 should be enough. Given their family situation, it's unlikely you will get the money back. Our family is not a charity, and there are many poor relatives around. Once you agree, they will all come and borrow from you. After all, Aunt Chun was a relative of their family. Shun Xiongji's words made him frustrated, even though he agreed with her. 10 or 20,000 was doable and could be considered as charity. He picked up the call and held the phone to his ear. Hello. After 2 minutes, he hung up the call with a gloomy expression. He said to Shun Xiongji, hurry and give me my clothes. Shun Xiongji was dumbfounded and asked, what's the matter? You just came back. Why are you heading out again? Qiao Weiman's expression was ugly, and he said ruthlessly, Qiao Nian fought with someone on the streets and was taken away by the police. Aunt Chun called me to go to the police station to bail her out. Qiao Weiman was almost out of breath as he spoke. After all, she was adopted. Although Qiao Nian wasn't biologically related to the family, she grew up in their house. As the saying goes, like father like son, like mother like daughter. She should have developed some manners even if she only stayed in their house. She ended up in the police station after only a few days out of the house. He really shouldn't allow her to continue studying in Rao City. He even had to clean up her mess. Hearing that it was about Qiao Nian, Shun Xiongji was unhappy and gave him his clothes unwillingly. Shouldn't she look for her biological parents and grandfather? Why did she call you? Qiao Weiman was furious. I don't know. They're not familiar with the area and will not be able to bail her out. Our project with Chung Phone Corporation is almost finalized. Even though Qiao Nian is not one of us, she has stayed in our family. If this matter gets out, we will be implicated as well. Shun Xiongji was disgusted. She was just like what Mom said, we can't get rid of her. Qiao Weiman took the clothes from her and said irritably, let me go over and take a look. At the police station, Qiao Nian and Yi Wangshuan were split into 2 interrogation rooms for their statements to be taken. Qiao Weiman hurried over and did not park his car properly. With an angry expression, he entered the police station. Hello, what's the matter? The little policeman sized him up while looking arrogant. What kind of attitude was this? Since the company went public a few years ago, Qiao Weiman had been highly regarded in Rao City. He had never experienced such prejudice. This was all because of Qiao Nian. He forced a smile, let down his pride, and said, I wanted to ask you about something. Did you capture a girl who was in a fight? Her name is Qiao Nian. Qiao Nian? Seems like we did bring back this person. Where is she? While he was speaking, he saw a group of people walking in the corridor from the corner of his eye. The lady was around 17 or 18 years old. Her appearance was outstanding. Her legs were long and slender, and her skin was white. With her aura, she was easily identifiable in a crowd. Qiao Weiman's veins around his temples pulsed. He quickly walked over and called out to the person following the policeman. Qiao Nian. Qiao Nian had just finished giving her statement and was packing up to leave. Suddenly, she heard Qiao Weiman's voice. As she turned around, the angry man was already heading toward her in big strides. He immediately started to question her. Did you fight with someone just now? Can you stop making trouble for me? I'm not here to clean up your mess, even outside of work. Qiao Nian's lashes were dark, and her eyes flickered with hostility. Suppressing her emotions, she asked, Who told you? Fuming, Qiao Weimin turned pale and green. If they weren't outside, it would have been much worse for Qiao Nian. Why are you asking when you already know the answer? Who else could it be other than Aunt Shun? Aunt Shun called me to get you out. So it was Aunt Shun. Qiao Nian pursed her lips. His expression was ugly, and he did not want to look at her in the eye. He asked impatiently, Why did you fight? Where is the person you fought with? Qiao Nian's eyes were cold. She said nonchalantly, It's just a fight. Must I choose an auspicious date? Look, what was she saying? He could no longer suppress his anger. He resisted and replied, It's fine if you don't work hard and do poorly in school. I don't expect you to get into Beijing University like Qinshan. The least you can do is to not cause any troubles for me by fighting outside. Qiao Nian looked at him with sarcasm. Her eyes were dark and wild, but she was not obedient. Didn't Xiao Chang get into Renyi because you fostered the relationships through dinner? There was still a year before the college entrance examination. How could Xiao Chun have secured a spot? It was simply getting through the back door and taking another's opportunity away. Qiao Weimin was overwhelmed with anger. They were at the police station, and there were many people around. How could she reveal this? He said angrily. That was also because Chunshin did well in school. Not everyone can secure a spot. Even if I help you, do you think you can secure a spot? Qiao Nian's grades were mediocre in the mainstream schools in Rao City. She would be last in a first high school. She might not even be able to make it to high school. She was shameless, hopeless. He was afraid that Qiao Nian would continue to go against him. After all, Xiao Qin's spot was obtained dishonorably. Qiao Weimin suppressed his anger and said to the policeman beside him, Hello, I'm Qiao Nian's. His expression turned ugly as he remembered what Qiao Nian had done, and he didn't want to acknowledge their relationship. I'm her father. Look, I've heard about the matter. I didn't teach her well. Sorry to have caused you trouble. We're willing to compensate for what's required, and I'll make her apologize. Is it possible to not detain her? Fighting could cause her to be detained for half a month, depending on the severity of the situation. He didn't care if Qiao Nian was detained. He just didn't want to ruin the Qiao family's reputation. Qiao Nian mocked him with her eyes. The young policeman glanced at him, then at Qiao Nian. Embarrassed, he said hesitantly, Well, Mr. Qiao, I think you've misunderstood. Qiao Nian. While Qiao Weimin was confused about what exactly he misunderstood, a car from Rao City with the car plate number 0089 stopped in front of the police station. Usually, private cars had car plate numbers beginning with 00. Just as he was wondering who could it be, the person got out of the car and walked towards them quickly. The policeman beside him immediately took off his cap and saluted. How are you, Chief Officer? Qiao Weimin only recognized the man's face at this instant. Wait, who's the chief officer in charge of the southern part of Rao City? The Qiao family mainly engaged in real estate businesses, and as it would be inevitable to encounter local ruffians causing a ruckus, they usually maintained good relations with the policeman. He recognized the person, and his face immediately changed. He went forward to greet him and shook his hand. Officer Kai, I didn't expect to meet you here. He didn't hide his flattery. As Officer Kai rushed here after a meal, and he suddenly stood in front of him, he couldn't react in time. He held his hand, looking puzzled. You are Qiao Weimin from Qiao Corporation. I was fortunate to have dinner with you several times previously. Enlightened, he said, Oh, I've heard of Qiao Corporation. So it's you, Chairman Qiao. What are you doing here? Ashamed, Qiao Weimin said, It may be ridiculous, but I'm here because of Qiao Nian. Every word came out painstakingly, and he regretted coming here immensely. If he had known that he would meet Kai Gang, he wouldn't agree to come down to the police station no matter what. How embarrassing. Little did he know, right after he said that Kai Gang's indifferent attitude changed. He shook his hand passionately and said politely, Oh, you're here for Qiao Nian. I didn't know she was your daughter. You have such a great daughter. Qiao Weimin was confused. What did Officer Kai mean? How was Qiao Nian a good daughter when she got into the police station because of a fight? Was there something wrong with his mind? As he couldn't figure out what Kai Gang meant, he carefully said, "Sigh, I'm ashamed. She hasn't been the most sensible since a young age." Kai Gang thought he was being polite, so he smiled and patted him on his shoulder to stop him. "Chairman Qiao, you're too humble. If your daughter isn't sensible, then my daughter is worse. She's currently studying at First High School in Rao City, right?" Speaking of this, Qiao Weiman felt even more uncomfortable. "Yes, she just transferred there. Her grades aren't that good." "Uh-huh. Chairman Qiao, you're too humble. It's a bit too much." Kai Gang smiled and looked at Qiao Nian curiously and doubtfully, but without any bit of contempt. "I've heard that Qiao Nian got into Class A. In the future, she'll definitely go to an autonomous university. We'll have another talent from Rao City," he said while smiling. "Qiao Nian? In Class A?" Feeling faint, Qiao Weiman's throat became dry. "Did you get it wrong? How could Qiao Nian manage to get into Class A?" "Get it wrong?" Kai Gang didn't hear him clearly. Qiao Weiman snapped out of his daze and looked at Kai Gang's curious expression. He swallowed the thought. Qiao Chun only managed to get into Class B. How could Qiao Nian possibly get into Class A? Instead of voicing it, he then quietly said, "In nothing much." He remembered what he was here for today. After some struggle, he finally said, "So, Officer Kai, regarding Qiao Nian's fight." Kai Gang immediately continued, "Oh, about that. He had received 5 calls on the way here, from his direct superior to Jiang Zhongnan, to Chung Phone Corporation, to the Wei family, and even someone from Beijing. Every one of them was superior to him, and he was so stressed out by the calls that he didn't even manage to finish his meal. He rushed here right away." Qiao Weiman seemed rather embarrassed, and he turned to glare at Qiao Nian as if blaming her for causing trouble. He then smiled awkwardly at Kai Gang and said, "This child can hardly be disciplined since she was a child, unlike her younger sister. She just found her biological parents a few days ago and went to live with them. I only found out about the trouble she caused now. Although she's no longer under my care, she's lived with us. After all, I don't wish to see her get into trouble outside. What I'm trying to say is that we can compensate these people whatever amount they're asking for, as long as the situation can be settled." He caught a flicker of elitism and arrogance in the corner of his eyes. He didn't even bother to ask if Qiao Nian was agreeable to it. It was as if he should decide it all on his own. He made his relationship with Qiao Nian very clear, putting distance between the two of them, but making himself sound like a nice man. But he spoke fiercely to Qiao Nian when he turned to her. "Qiao Nian, you'd better apologize when you go down with me later." Qiao Nian's eyes were dark, and she seemed fierce and opinionated. She firmly said, "I'm not going." Qiao Weiman was about to spit fire, but in order to maintain his image, he suppressed his anger. However, his expression was obviously dark as he lectured her through clenched teeth. "You're so stubborn. No wonder they said children were just like their parents." Kai Gang's smile stiffened a little as he watched their tense interaction. He reevaluated Qiao Weiman and was colder towards him now as he cut him off. "Chairman Qiao, did you find out exactly what happened before you came over today?" "This? I did hear some stuff about it." Qiao Weiman didn't want to go into detail and appeared rather upset about it. "I don't even need to think about it. It's surely she who caused the trouble." Aunt Chun had told him over the phone that Qiao Nian had stood up for her over her stall, and someone called the police on Qiao Nian because of that. The policeman then came and took Qiao Nian to the police station. At the end of the day, it was all because of Qiao Nian's strong-headed personality. Why was she poking her nose into others' businesses anyway? It was just like what Chun had told him previously. Qiao Nian had jumped into the river to save a child without even knowing what had happened. Thankfully, nothing went wrong. But if Qiao Nian hadn't managed to save the child eventually, resulting in his death, wouldn't she have had to take responsibility for it? He took matters into his own hands and admitted to the fault on Qiao Nian's behalf. "Officer Kai, I know that she caused trouble for you. Could you take it that you're doing me a favor?" The Qiao family was rather renowned in Rao City, so it wasn't strange that he was making this request as a well-known businessman. But it seemed like Kai Gang's expression towards him was getting colder and colder, making Qiao Weiman feel as if he'd made an inappropriate request. "Officer Kai? Oh, The fact that Kai Gang managed to rise to such a high post before he reached the age of 40 was already proof that he wasn't a simple man. Kai Gang could tell from the beginning that Qiao Weiman didn't have a good relationship with Qiao Nian. Kai Gang subtly glanced at the Qiao Nian and made a quick judgment. Then, his expression went cold as he distanced himself from Qiao Weiman and smiled strangely. "Chairman Qiao, why do you seem to know this case better than I do?" Qiao Weiman heard the sarcasm in his voice and stiffened up. He had no idea why Kai Gang was nice to him earlier, but turned so cold just a moment later. Kai Gang was even embarrassing him now. But Kai Gang was the commissioner of this district. Although he wasn't the overall chief, he did have some power and authority. Hence, Qiao Weiman bore with the embarrassment and forced an awkward smile. "I heard about it. Can't say I understand it well. It's just that I'm anxious for Qiao Nian since she caused trouble. If I've offended Officer Kai, please don't take it to heart." Seeing that he was still putting the blame on Qiao Nian, Kai Gang decided to ignore him. Kai Gang walked right past Qiao Weiman and went to Qiao Nian instead. He smiled at her as he said, "Student Qiao Nian, I'm Kai Gang. I'm in charge of this district." Qiao Nian nodded. She was much calmer than Qiao Weiman. She greeted him. "Officer Kai." Kai Gang turned to ask the officer beside her, "Have you taken the statement?" The officer hurriedly said, "Yes, it's completed." Kai Gang looked back at Qiao Nian and said politely, "It's been hard on you, Qiao Nian. Thank you for supporting us in our work. We've already taken control of the few gangsters, and we'll be investigating them to see if they've had any records before. Thank you so much for today. If it wasn't for your courage to step forward, who is to say what other trouble they'd cause the public? I'll definitely let your school know about it, so they can advocate such courageous behavior like yours. I didn't do anything. You don't have to inform my school about it." Kai Gang immediately said, "Right, I put it wrongly. I will send a commendation letter directly to your school. We can forget about the announcement or advocacy." Qiao Weiman was bewildered as he heard them talk. He intercepted Qiao Nian's courageous behavior. "What's going on? Didn't she cause a fight?" Kai Gang couldn't be bothered to entertain him. He pretended not to hear him, and instead patted Qiao Nian on the shoulder. He was just like a kind elder as he said to Qiao Nian, "It's late and the statement is done. Qiao Nian, you should get going. Do you need us to send you back?" Seeing the Volkswagen parked outside, Qiao Nian picked up her bag casually and said, "No need. I'll make my own way back." "All right then. Take care." Kai Gang waved her off and watched as she left. Only after that did he turn to Qiao Weiman and say, "Chairman Qiao, you're a smart person, so I don't think I have to make things so clear. The Qiao Corporation has some connections with us too, so I'll just give you a word of advice." Qiao Weiman was a little puzzled and had no idea why Qiao Nian could just leave like that. But he asked intuitively, "What is it?" Kai Gang saw how confused he looked and said slowly, "You should learn to have some foresight. Don't turn against what might actually benefit you." He had already seen the Volkswagen outside. That was the Zhang family's car. And among the people who called him earlier today, one of them was a huge power in Beijing. That was a level that even Kai Gang himself did not have connections with. And yet the Qiao family was deliberately chasing Qiao Nian away as if they were afraid she would cling on to them. How silly. Outside the police station, Gu San was in the driver's seat, and the man he was driving looked rather outstanding, with good-looking, deep-set facial features. The window was open, and he had one arm out the window. The beaded bracelet on his wrist was eye-catching, and he resembled a lion at rest. His every move came with a classy and imposing aura. Much of the ferocity in Yi Wangchuan's eyes dissipated the moment he saw her walk out. His eyes deepened, and a hoarse voice sounded, "You're out already?" Qiao Nian opened the door and placed her bag inside before hopping in. She said, "I met Officer Kai, and we spoke a little, so I got delayed." "Oh." Yi Wangchuan didn't seem shocked at all. Once she got into the car, he wound the window up and ordered Gu San, "Head back to Jiang Li's villa." "Yes, Master Wang." The car started slowly. Gu San looked into the rearview mirror to spy on the happenings in the back seat throughout the journey. The more he looked at Qiao Nian's fair and beautiful face, the more interested he got. Ooh, Master Wang actually went to eat at a roadside stall with the Jiang family's newly acknowledged rich miss. And he even got into a fight on the streets. What was this? An old man being wild as a teenager. Master Wang had followed Buddhist teachings for so long, but was turning back to his rebellious 18-year-old self. His observation wasn't subtle enough. Qiao Nian was looking out the window the whole time, but still realized that Gu San had been looking at her. Finally, they arrived at the villa. Yuan got off the car first. Qiao Nian then got her school bag and hopped off. Wait a moment. He suddenly got closer to her. His tall figure towered over her as his elongated shadow loomed before her. Qiao Nian felt as if she was being forced into a corner. Her breathing quickened slightly, and she looked up intuitively. Her eyes were bright even as she frowned. Yuan seemed to visually check her, making sure that she wasn't injured. Then he placed a hand on her forehead, so lightly and so gently. His touch felt somewhat warm. It's good that you aren't hurt. You have class tomorrow. Rest early now. He was standing so close to her that she could feel his breath on her neck. His voice was so low, Qiao Nian's heart skipped a beat. She shrunk slightly as her body stiffened and said unnaturally, "Oh, I'm all right." Yuan chuckled as he saw how she looked like a hedgehog with its spikes up. He then stepped aside to make way for her. Qiao Nian hurriedly grabbed her bag and left as if she was trying to flee from danger. "You should rest early too? I'll go home first." With that, she ran off. Gu San watched how Master Wang flirted this whole time and was so close to gouging his own eyes out. Damn, as a single man, he was going blind from all the sparks flying. No wonder young Master Jiang and the rest were always saying that Master Wang simply did not like to hit on girls. If he actually liked and wanted to, he would be able to get any girl in the city. The doting and caring look in Master Wang's eyes just now warmed even Gu San, a fully grown man. But young Master Jiang's younger sister seemed a little too young, no? Although Master Wang himself wasn't old, Miss Qiao was still in high school. Moreover, compared to this girl who had been raised by an adoptive family all this while, wasn't first Miss Jiang more outstanding and more suitable for Master Wang? Gu San eyed Yuan with a complex expression, but Yuan seemed to be in a good mood and was even smiling. Hence, Gu San swallowed his words instead. Now that Qiao Nian had gone into the house, he said, "Master Wang, Elder Yi heard about you going to the police station. He asked you to give him a call." Yuan fiddled with the beads on his bracelet, apparently in good spirits. He walked toward the house and said, "I got it. Have you checked on a miracle doctor yet?" Following behind him, Gu San replied cautiously, "I found out a little bit about him, but when I looked him up again, his information all over the internet got blocked." There was a greater power behind that doctor. Yuan didn't expect a doctor to have such strong backing, to the point that even he couldn't find out about him. Do you know who did it? Gu San was a computer expert himself. He was already full of embarrassment that his information had been stolen and blocked, and hung his head low with guilt. "I haven't found out at the moment. I'm sorry, Master Wang. It's all my fault. I'm not good enough." Yuan narrowed his eyes and pressed his lips together. He rubbed his temple and appeared a little troubled. "He's just a doctor. Continue checking on him. At the same time, keep a lookout for other famous doctors in Rao City. Anyone who might be able to help Chun, just get them here." Gu San nodded and asked, "Master Wang, little young master has awoken. Do you want to go and see him? He insists on getting discharged. He was a little devil, that precious child of the entire Yi family. He was the sort of person that no one could afford to offend or provoke, even in Beijing. Now that he was insisting on leaving the hospital, Master Wang had to be there in order to control the situation." Yuan glanced at his watch. It was already dark outside, and Zhongli wasn't around. He couldn't possibly leave Qiao Nian alone at home. He continued into the house and said to Gu San, "It's too late now. We'll see how it goes tomorrow." Upstairs, Qiao Nian changed into a loose-fitting top, took a shower, and bunned her hair up. She sat at her desk, but didn't turn on her laptop. She saw a few missed calls and messages on her cell phone. She looked through them. There was one from Wei Lu. "How are you? Are you out yet?" And another from Yuan Yongqin. "I gave the officer a call. How is it? Has the police let you out of the station?" Qiao Nian rested her legs on the desk and replied to Wei Lu and Yuan Yongqin briefly to let them know she was fine. She then returned Aunt Shen's call. Aunt Shen picked up on the first ring. Nian Nian, this is great. You're finally returning my call. Are you all right? Her end sounded a little noisy. It was evident that she was still at the hospital. Qiao Nian put her legs down and opened her laptop as she responded. I'm all right. I just got home. How was Chun Yuan's injury? Is it serious? If it is, I know a doctor in the hospital. I'll get him to take a look. He just has a dislocated elbow. Besides that, his injuries are all superficial. It's all right. Don't bother about him. He needs to feel some pain to know what not to do in the future. He has to stop mixing with those people. Qiao Nian didn't insist since she heard that Chun Yuan just had a dislocated elbow. She then said, I'll talk to him when I get back. Aunt Shen, you still have Uncle Chen to look after. You have to rest so you won't burn out. If you overwork yourself, what's Uncle Chen going to do? Remember the thing I mentioned to you before? I'll bring you some when I go over to visit Uncle Chen. Meat Ganoderma was a rare and precious Chinese medicine. Besides being able to control the spread of cancer cells, it could also strengthen the body's immunity. A lot of illnesses nowadays, especially serious ones, were a result of weak immunity. Qiao Nian didn't find a ways to give away the meat Ganoderma that she had spent 10 million yuan on. She was so easygoing about it. It was as if the 10 million yuan precious medicine was nothing more than the ordinary health supplement. All right, you call the shots. Aunt Shen always listened carefully to all that Qiao Nian had to say. Sensing that she was about to hang up, Aunt Shen asked a little tentatively, Nian Nian, did your dad go today? Xiao Weiman? He came. Qiao Nian's eyes were already on her screen. She had no interest in Xiao Weiman at all. She saw the message Wei Lu left her. Wei Lu 100 feet tall. Qiao Nian, you're pretty amazing. You even know people from the Red Alliance. Someone is looking up on you, but the Red Alliance helped you block that person. When did you know someone so powerful? Her beautiful fingers were resting on the mouse, and her eyes were a little deep. She couldn't figure out which person was looking up on her. Aunt Chun was still speaking cautiously so as not to hurt her. He bailed you out? No, he just came to scold me. Qiao Nian put her cell phone on the desk and turned on speaker mode. She was using her mouse and getting to a page that showed her the stock market. With her eyes on the screen, her fingers swiftly entered a string of data. The red and green lines started shifting as she continued working on the keyboard. The policeman checked the surveillance cameras around the junction and confirmed that those people started the fight. They took my statement and let me go. Come to think of it, the policeman received a call just shortly after she messaged Wei Lu and Yuan Yongqin. Then, the policeman decided to check out the surveillance cameras and classified her behavior as a courageous act. Not too long later, Officer Kai came as well. Could this all be because of Yuan Chuan? Qiao Nian then comforted Aunt Shun for a while more and then hung up, tossing her cell phone aside. The next day, Qiao Nian was busy the previous night and did not have a good sleep. She arrived in class just before it started. She entered the classroom, and before she even put her bag down, Shun Qingqing stood up agitatedly, grabbed her hand, and looked at Qiao Nian with teary eyes. Qiao Nian, you're finally here. I let you down. The teacher noticed that you left early yesterday and flared up. What should we do? She looked so guilty she could barely look Qiao Nian in the eye. Qiao Nian had gotten Shun Qingqing to apply for leave on her behalf just before she left. But Shun Qingqing messed it up. The teacher asked me where you were. I got anxious and lied that you were at the toilet. I didn't expect her to get someone to look for you. Qiao Nian, I'm so sorry. It's all my fault. I should have thought of a better excuse. Like maybe you want to see a doctor because you were sick. I'm so dumb to say you went to the toilet. The boy sitting in the front row couldn't watch any longer. He tossed her a piece of tissue and said with disdain, What are you crying for, seriously? Wipe your face. Your mucus is getting into your mouth. Are you even a girl? Shun Qingqing blushed and stopped crying. She then turned to him and said angrily, None of your business. The boy just liked to see her angry and pouty. He said, Oh well, perhaps it is my business. You. Shun Qingqing almost hit him out of anger and momentarily forgot about her self-reproach. She said fiercely, Liang Bowen, you fool. TSK. I thought you had something creative to mock me. That's it. She was going to kill this person. After he was done poking fun at Shun Qingqing, he turned to Qiao Nian and said to her, "You're a new classmate, right? I'm Liang Bowen. Don't you blame Shun Qingqing. She's just a little dense. She really did try to help you out, but First High School doesn't allow students to apply for leave, so she got anxious when the teacher asked her about it and said you went to the toilet instead. Who would have known that menopause really got someone to look for you in the toilet? That's how it got exposed." Qiao Nian put her school bag down and nodded casually. She was easygoing about it as she said, "It's all right. It was I who caused her trouble in the first place." "Did you get into trouble because of me?" Shun Qingqing didn't expect that not only did Qiao Nian not hold it against her at all, but she was also even worried for her. Shun Qingqing shook her head, feeling touched. "No, the teacher just told me off for a bit. I have good grades, so she won't scold me." Qiao Nian smiled. "That's good." Shun Qingqing was practically moved to tears. Liang Bowen didn't think she was this nice and magnanimous, either. He was rather surprised that Qiao Nian did not blame Shun Qingqing at all. His impression of her changed slightly. He then reminded her, "I saw Qiao Chen's mom go into the teacher's office today. You're not on good terms with Qiao Chen from Class B." Qiao Nian narrowed her eyes and said honestly, "Yeah, we're not on good terms." Liang Bowen said, "Then you might be in trouble." Just as he said that, someone started yelling from outside the classroom. "Qiao Nian, which one of you is Qiao Nian? The teacher wants you to go to the dean's office." Shun Qingqing grabbed her hand anxiously. "What's the teacher looking for Qiao Nian for? Why does she have to go to the office?" "I don't know." Liang Bowen wasn't close to this new classmate of theirs. He was just giving Qiao Nian reminders on Shun Qingqing's account. If this happened again, it would be none of his business. Perhaps it has something to do with what happened yesterday. Or maybe it's something else. Shun Qingqing asked him curiously, "Something else?" "Qiao Nian has only just got transferred to our class. What else could have happened? Just stop asking." Liang Bowen's eyes were rather deep, but he didn't want to say any more to her. The upper class of Rao City all knew about the fake rich miss of the Qiao family, one who did not get along with Qiao Chun. Also, the rich and powerful boyfriend whom Qiao Chen was going for was also forcefully taken from Qiao Nian. It wasn't surprising that the Qiao family did not want anything to do with Qiao Nian anymore. At the dean's office, there was a commotion among a few teachers. Qiao Nian's paper was marked by the dean and a few of us teachers. We couldn't all have been wrong. The form teacher class C was red with anger. "Chun," she said casually, then, "she might have cheated. I have taught in First High School for so many years, and not a single student has scored full marks before, not even Fu Go. This girl was only mediocre in her previous school. How could she suddenly score full marks the moment she came to First High School?" The Class C form teacher was a male chauvinist and insisted he was right. "Impossible. We've seen the surveillance footage. Qiao Nian did not cheat. Then, the paper might have been leaked, and she might have gotten hold of it previously. Given the way you say it, Qiao Nian surely and definitely cheated?" Chun Shi shrugged and appeared confident. "I did not say that. I'm just saying we can eliminate this possibility." At this point, the form teacher Class A, Shun Hui, stepped forward. She was in an office dress, and her hair was neatly combed to the back, revealing a stern and squarish face. Both her hands were on the desk. She said to the dean of teaching expressionlessly, "I don't care whether she cheated in the mock test or not. All I know is that I cannot accept a student who is out of control and who causes trouble. She played truant on the first day of school and even got a classmate to lie for her. I have never seen such willful behavior from a student." Qiao Nian heard the commotion from outside. She knocked on the door and said rather gruffly, "Reporting." The dean of teaching was getting a headache from a noise. Seeing that she was here, he quickly waved her in. "You're here? Come on in." Qiao Nian entered and closed the door behind her. She saw Shun Qiongji and Qiao Chen the moment she entered. Qiao Chen was hooking arms with a woman in an elegant and classy attire as they spoke to someone. The woman Qiao Chen was holding seemed more like her biological mother than Shun Qiongji herself. Meanwhile, Qiao Chen left Shun Qiongji on her own, sitting by the side. The three of them turned to her the moment she entered. Their eyes were like nails bearing into her skin. "Oh!" Qiao Nian raised a brow, her expression calm, as usual, with a little bit of wildness in her eyes. She pretended not to see them and walked to the desk. "Dean, you're looking for me?" The dean of teaching had been in this line for so long and finally got a genius in his school. He had high hopes of Qiao Nian and did not want this gifted student to be ruined by such trivial matters. But with teachers and parents around, he couldn't show his bias. He coughed deliberately to mask the awkwardness before looking at Qiao Nian and saying very seriously, "Did you play truant yesterday?" The moment Qiao Nian reached school this morning, Shun Qingqing had told her that the teacher found out about her leaving school early. Qiao Nian didn't intend to deny it now, nor had she ever thought of doing so. I had something to attend to at the last minute." This attitude. She was so nonchalant it seemed like she was trying to anger them. Everyone in the office felt offended by her tone. Her form teacher, Shun Hui, sneered with an unpleasant look. "What do you take the school for? A place you can come to and leave as you wish." The dean of teaching acted as the mediator. "Teacher Shun, don't get angry first. Let Qiao Nian explain herself. Perhaps there was an emergency." He then lectured her seriously. "Student Qiao Nian, no matter how urgent the matter was, you should not have left without telling your teacher at all. You left the school compound during lesson time. If anything happened to you outside, who is going to take responsibility? Your teacher and the school can't possibly bear such a responsibility. Neither can I. Do you understand?" Qiao Nian kept her head low, hiding her dark and fierce eyes. She responded rather politely, "I understand." The dean of teaching knew that she was a smart girl who understood what he was getting at. He seemed more relieved now as he turned to Shen Hui. "Teacher Shun, just look, she's realized her mistake. She's only just transferred into the school and doesn't know the rules yet. Let it go this time." Shen Hui furrowed her brows and wanted to say something. He raised his hand to stop her. "If she leaves school early again without giving teachers a valid reason, I will punish her on my own, even without you asking me to." Shun Hui's anger was lodged in her throat. She could tell that the dean of teaching was rather protective of Qiao Nian. As much as she didn't like it, she felt that it was best if she stopped talking. After all, the dean had already said that he would punish her if this happened again. The least she could do was to show him some trust and respect. She wouldn't talk about it anymore, but that didn't mean that everyone else was fine with it just yet. At this point, Chun Shi, the form teacher of Class B, glanced at Qiao Nian and said, "Dean, you still haven't even asked her what exactly was so urgent and important that she would miss the school opening ceremony." The dean of teaching frowned again. He was intending to let this go easily, but didn't know why Chun Shi was so bent on making things difficult for this new student. There was still a parent around, and he didn't want to say much about Chun Shi. He simply tolerated Chun Shi and said gently to Qiao Nian, "Qiao Nian, what was so urgent yesterday afternoon that you had to leave?" "It's all right. Just let the teachers know. Teacher Shen has already agreed to let you off this time, as long as you don't do it again." His kind demeanor was an eyesore to Qiao Chun. Qiao Nian played truant for no valid reason. Instead of going after her, he was defending her. This was unfair. She clenched her fist and masked the evilness in her eyes. Then, as if trying to help Qiao Nian out as well, she said, "Sister, just let the teachers know honestly." The moment she said that, everyone in the office turned to look at her. Qiao Nian narrowed her eyes and smiled wryly. She placed both her hands in her pocket and said not too kindly, "Oh, then do you want to help me explain to the teachers?" Xiao Chen's fair face went a little red. The fierceness in her eyes almost returned as she sensed that Qiao Nian was making things difficult for her. But she feigned an innocent look and appeared helpless as she said softly, "Yesterday evening, sister, you went to the police station. One of the people you hit was Aunt Fu's nephew. Why you shouldn't have hit anyone no matter what. And I heard it happened on the streets." She pursed her lips, looking as if she meant well. She then said quietly, "If any of the onlookers knew that you were a first high school student, it'd be bad for the school's reputation. Sister, you really went too far this time. The dean and teachers trust you so much, you shouldn't have let them down. Just own up to it now. As long as you know your mistakes and don't make them again, The school will surely give you a second chance. Everyone in the office had a strange expression after hearing what she said. You said that Qiao Nian was fighting in the afternoon and even ended up at the police station? The dean of teaching, who had been trying to defend Qiao Nian all this while, went red with anger. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. Playing truant without a good reason was completely different from getting into a fight outside. As much as he valued talents, he had to think hard about the school's century-old reputation. Shen Hui's expression was dark as well. She had already suspected that Qiao Nian was playing dirty when she scored full marks on the mock entrance exam. Now that she heard about Qiao Nian fighting outside, she slammed both hands on the desk and demanded, "Dean, I can let it slide when it comes to her truancy. But you have to give me an explanation for this now. Otherwise, I surely will not allow such a student to be in Class A." Getting into fights? What was she, a gangster? Qiao Chun could barely resist her smile when she heard about Qiao Nian being denied a place in Class A. At this point, Shun Xiongji, who hadn't said anything so far, picked up her bag and stood up. She patted the creases off her dress and said condescendingly to the dean of teaching, "Dean Yang, I hope you will expel Qiao Nian." With that, everyone in the office got a little stunned. They didn't expect her to be so strict and direct. Shen Hui had only said that if this was true, she wouldn't want Qiao Nian in her class. But Shun Xiongji was asking to expel her in front of everyone else. Madame Fu was watching all of this unfold from the side. She despised Qiao Nian so much that she did not even bother to have a hand in this case. Anyway, with Shun Xiongji around, she could sit back and watch. The dean of teaching snapped back to his senses and raised his brows. He negotiated, "Mrs. Qiao, isn't an expulsion too serious?" Shun Xiongji fiddled with her handbag and did not even bother to glance at Qiao Nian, as if Qiao Nian was an embarrassment to her. She replied arrogantly, "Dean, I hope you'll consider the parents' perspective. We donate so much money to the school library and canteen, and for what? It's for our children to have a better learning environment. Let's forget about Qiao Nian's truancy and lies for now. Just the fact that she got into a fight and landed herself in the police station was bad enough. Doesn't the school owe us parents an explanation for this?" Chun Shi chimed in. "That's right, Dean. We have to explain things to the parents. Otherwise, the fault is with us." But Qiao Nian couldn't be bothered to waste her time and energy on such trivial matters. Her cell phone happened to chime, and she read the message from Wei Lu. He told her that Yuan Yongqin had already delivered her medicine to the clinic and asked when she would collect it. There was still tension in the office. Qiao Nian suddenly said, "So you people want an explanation?" Shun Xiongji's expression was full of disdain. She asked another question in return. "Don't you think you owe us and your teachers an explanation?" "All right." Qiao Nian took her cell phone out and made a call in front of all of them. "Hello, I'm Qiao Nian. If it's convenient, could you make a trip down to First High School?" The whole office went quiet. Qiao Nian went to the couch, took a seat in front of all the other teachers, and started using her cell phone. Given her attitude, it seemed like she was disrespecting everyone there. Shun Xiongji couldn't tolerate this. She was just a country bumpkin. If it wasn't because of her RH blood type that got her adopted by the Qiao family, she wouldn't even have been able to afford an education in Luohe County. Who was Qiao Nian to show her such an attitude now? She took her cell phone out with a serious expression and said, "Very well, I have a call to make too. I remember that there's a police station nearby. I'll see if the person you called can erase all the police records." She slowly made a call to the police station in front of everyone. The tension in the room was rising. Besides Madame Fu, who didn't care that things were escalating, the rest of the First High School teachers exchanged glances, surprised that things had gotten to this stage. A while later, the policeman arrived. "Hey, we're from Shaoshan District Police Station." Over 10 people were gathered around the door to see what was going on. The dean of teaching turned to Qiao Nian worriedly. But Qiao Nian still did not move. She was still using her cell phone without any other reaction. There was no fear on her face at all. "Oomph, you're still pretending." Shun Xiongji got up angrily and was more eager to speak to the policeman than the teachers. "Come on in." Kai Gang arrived with another policeman and was surprised to see over 10 people in the room. He thought that they were having a meeting of sorts. Then he caught sight of a rather feisty girl in the corner of his eye. He called out, slightly shocked, "Qiao Nian?" He thought that she would be in class at this time, so he came over to this group of people first. He didn't expect to see her here. The police knew who Qiao Nian was. The rest of the teachers' hearts sank. This was especially the case for the dean of teaching, as they had tried to help her. Xiao Chun smiled uncontrollably. She immediately covered it up, afraid of being seen. Shen Xiongji went up to her and smiled. It felt as though they had the entire situation under control. "Hi, I was the one who called. I will need to clarify something with you guys. Was there a riot in your district yesterday night?" Kai Gang looked towards Qiao Nian. He even wanted to come to school to praise her yesterday, but she didn't want it. How did everyone find out? He was puzzled but still replied, "Yes, there was something of a similar nature, but it wasn't a riot." Xiao Qin then spoke. "Sister, why aren't you admitting your fault? Just apologize to Aunt Fu's nephew, and I will ask her to show you mercy. You still have the chance to turn things around." Kai Gang and the rest of the policemen were confused. Turn things around? They couldn't understand what was going on. Qiao Nian messed up as the red and blue lines on her phone swapped places. She looked around coldly and said, "The policemen aren't even asking me to admit my fault, and yet you decided that I was wrong already. Are you representing the cops now?" Xiao Chun clenched her fists and stood silently as she bit on her lips. It looked as though she was wronged. Shen Xiongji glared at Qiao Nian after seeing that her daughter was insulted. She took a step forward and spoke. "Officer Kai, here's the deal. My husband received a call from you guys that Qiao Nian was sent to your station for fighting yesterday night. He even went over to bail her out. Do you remember it? Fight, station, yesterday night." Kai Gang linked up the keywords and frowned. He then looked at her and asked, "Who's your husband?" Shen Xiongji couldn't hide her arrogance as she answered, "I must have forgotten to mention. My husband is the president of the Qiao Corporation, Qiao Weiman." Even though the Qiao family wasn't as powerful as the Bo family in Rao City, they had been going strong. They managed to take their company public and were the talk of the town. Kai Gang immediately understood everything after what she said. He then gave her a weird look and asked, "Didn't your husband mention it to you?" Shen Xiongji was confused. "What should he mention to me?" Qiao Weiman hurried over to the station after receiving Aunt Shen's phone call. He was in a bad mood when he returned and even went to bed without eating dinner. She thought that his anger was because of Qiao Nian. The reason she hurried to school was so that she could explain things to Madame Fu. This was because Madame Fu told her that her niece was beaten up by Qiao Nian yesterday. Judging by the current situation, could she have left out something? She started to worry. It was right for her to worry. A cop next to Kai Gang said, "Qiao Nian came to our station yesterday. However, she was invited by us to make a statement. A bunch of thugs messed around yesterday. They even hurt some of the residents. Qiao Nian saw them and apprehended all of them. She even helped us by recording his statement." Kai Gang smiled. There was no way he was going to blame her. "I wanted to praise her for this. Actually, it's rare to have someone like her nowadays. We even wanted to show her to your school as a model example for the students. But she wanted to keep a low profile and didn't want us to praise her for what she did." Shen Xiongji turned pale. Qiao Nian helped the police? They even wanted to praise her? Everything started to spin around her as a sense of shame overwhelmed her. However, Kai Gang didn't notice it. He was reminded of something and said to the teachers, "There's something that I forgot to mention. Didn't a child almost drown?" One of the residents wrote a commendation letter that a student from First High School rescued the child. That was Qiao Nian as well. When that was happening, other students from First High School were there as well. However, they were afraid and didn't take any action. Qiao Nian was the only one that jumped into the water to help. Shen Xiongji and Qiao Chen didn't know what to say. They were overwhelmed with shame. They kept silent when they saw the dean of teaching shaking hands with Kai Gang before sending them out. At the teacher's office, Kai Gang left as quickly as he came. However, the office vibe changed. Shen Xiongji and Xiao Chun were sitting uneasily. Meanwhile, the teachers along with the dean of teaching that supported Qiao Nian were at ease. The dean of teaching knew what was about to happen. He didn't mention anything about what happened and spoke gently to Qiao Nian. "It's all right now. Head back to class." "All right," Qiao Nian replied. She then took her stuff and headed off. She didn't pause when she walked past Shun Qiongji. The dean of teaching saw that she left and said, "Madam Qiao, I think that you should have a complete understanding of what happened already. As for the request to remove Qiao Nian from this school, we aren't going to accept it. Do you understand?" Shun Qiongji gripped her bag and felt humiliated. She had never been humiliated like this ever since she rose to her current status. However, this shame was her own doing. Hence, she couldn't say anything about it. Qiao Nian was on the way back to class. When she was in the corridor, Xiao Chen called out to her from behind. "Sister." Qiao Nian frowned, impatient. She stopped, turned, and asked coldly, "What's the matter?" Could you believe her attitude? Xiao Chen hid her unhappiness and looked around. It was break time between class, and other students were heading out of the classroom to take a breather. Some of them looked in their direction. She looked down, bit her lip, and then spoke softly. "Sister, you shouldn't have been so stubborn. You should have explained everything to us when we misunderstood what happened. If you had explained to us, my mom wouldn't have been humiliated. Aunt Fu has relatives in the education ministry. If you had offended her, you could never continue your studies in Rao City. You wanted to study in Rao City instead of Luohe County to change your family situation. So you shouldn't be so rash in the future." Qiao Nian listened until she ended her speech. She then stared at her and asked, "Are you done?" Xiao Chen clenched her fist as her face turned pale. She nodded and replied, "Yes, I'm done. Stop following me around if you're done. You're a nuisance." It was getting on her nerves. Qiao Nian turned around after speaking and left her behind. This is how you humiliate people. When others come up to you to say a bunch of things, you shouldn't take any of it to heart and consider it all nonsense to you. Xiao Chen frowned. She clenched her fists so hard that they almost bled. She was so angry that her eyes turned red. What was Qiao Nian so proud of? She was just complimented by the police for helping people. It was foolish of her to offend the Fu family because of this. She would be sent back to Luohe County for this in the future. The news that a pretty girl was transferred to Class A was spread throughout the entire first high school yesterday. It was said that the school belle in Class A was especially pretty, so everyone wanted to see who was prettier between the two. Hence, people looked in their direction when they stood together. Some of them even came down from the second floor to have a closer look at the staircase. Hence, even though Qiao Nian left quickly, people noticed their conversation. Zhao Jingwei heard about it in Class B that Qiao Chun and Qiao Nian were arguing in the corridor. She immediately came out and saw that Qiao Nian had left. Only Qiao Chun was there with reddened eyes. She thought that Qiao Chun was crying and hurried over. She patted her on the shoulder and said, "Chen Chun, what's the matter? Is everything all right? Why are you crying?" Qiao Chen realized that Zhao Jingwei had misunderstood what had happened. She decided to put on an act. She shook her head and said, "I'm fine." Angered, Zhao Jingwei wanted to seek justice for her, raised her voice, and asked, "Did Qiao Nian bully you?" "No, we just had some misunderstanding." What misunderstanding? Xiao Chun wasn't telling her what happened at the office. It was too humiliating. See, you can't even explain it to me. Stop trying to lie for her. Zhao Jingwei held onto her hands angrily. Qiao Nian has gone too far. She bullied a student from Class B just because she's from Class A. Hasn't she thought about how she took advantage of your family? If your grandma hadn't realized that she wasn't biologically related to you, she would have still been living in your family for free as the first lady. Jingwei, stop it. I wasn't bullied. Since it got in my eyes, Qiao Chun pretended to stop her. However, her way of stopping her just made Zhao Jingwei angrier. Zhao Jingwei got even madder. She held onto her hands and walked towards Class B. "Let us return to class. She'll have to get Class B's permission if she wants to bully you. I'm going to make her apologize to you and leave first high school today." When Qiao Nian got to class, the bell rang. The students in Class A were studious. Most of them would pay attention in class. She was seated in the last row, next to the wall. There were a lot of books on her table, and it allowed her to play her games and doze off. As she had quite a few matters to take care of, she needed a quiet place to settle them. She also checked for updates on her phone. There were a lot of unread messages. From the Jiang family, Jiang Li, Wei Lu, Yuan Yongqin, and even Aunt Shen. Qiao Nian checked each message. She became angry when she saw the latest one. Yuan Chuan, how's the first day in class? Qiao Nian immediately replied. QN, it was an unlucky day for me. After replying to everyone, she turned on Do Not Disturb mode and started to check the stock market. The morning session was over after a while. First High School had a long afternoon break for their students. When Qiao Nian and Shun Qingqing returned from lunch, they heard some discussions in the class. The reason why Qiao Nian was able to enter First High School was that her grandpa contributed to the education system in Luohe County. The higher-ups had to approve her entrance. Her full marks during the streaming was because the teachers cheated for her so that she could enter Class A. Are you saying that her results aren't real? I saw from the forum that she bullied the pretty girl from Class B to the point of tears at the corridor. I've seen Xiao Chun from Class B. She's a gentle and soft-spoken person. Xiao Nian is just being a bully. Xiao Nian didn't react to anything. However, Shun Qingqing was angry after hearing everything. She opened the door and rushed in, going straight to the podium and screaming angrily. What are you guys saying? Xiao Nian isn't that kind of person. The boys reading the post together got a shock and kept their phones. They didn't dare to look at Xiao Nian and said with guilty expressions, We're just repeating everything that's written on this post. But you shouldn't be saying such nonsense. Shun Qingqing was part of the student committee. Her scream shocked the boys. They felt so guilty that they couldn't look at Xiao Nian. They then replied softly, We felt the same about the post too. Xiao Nian took her exams in the staff room in front of the dean of teaching. How could she have cheated? However, the person that created the post on the forum found Xiao Nian's results slip from her previous school. Her grades were nothing spectacular, and she couldn't have made it into Class A. It had seemed like she cheated. Xiao Nian never cheated. Shun Qingqing said as she stood next to Qiao Nian. She held on her hand and wanted her to defend herself. Qiao Nian, tell them that you got into this class because of your own merit and not because you cheated. Everyone looked at her. Qiao Nian didn't want to deal with such matters. However, she couldn't reject Shun Qingqing's goodwill and said nonchalantly, It's their mouths. They can say anything they want. But are you just going to let them say such things? Shun Qingqing started to panic from worrying about her. After spending so much time with Qiao Nian, she realized that Qiao Nian was a nice person even though she may look unfriendly. Qiao Nian even gave her a bracelet after she helped her close the window. She didn't even blame her for not helping the previous time Qiao Nian messed up. Qiao Nian even paid for their lunch just now. She was such a great person. How could they say such things about her? Shun Qingqing turned around and clenched her fists. She then said to the boys, Qiao Nian never cheated. Don't believe in such nonsense. Qiao Nian stared thoughtfully at her cheeks that were red from being so angry. The bell rang. As she returned to her seat, Qiao Nian took out her phone. She then browsed First High School's forum and saw the first post. It's impossible for Qiao Nian to enter Class A with full marks. She must have cheated. These are her results from her previous school. She tapped on the link. There were few photos in the post of her results slip last time. She only passed for her results. She frowned. No one saw what she did, but in a matter of minutes, the post disappeared. In Class B, Zhao Jingwei was replying to the messages on the post. She smiled as she saw a large number of responses to the post. However, her replies triggered a system response suddenly. The post you're replying to no longer exists. Please try again later. Damn! Zhao Jingwei stood up with a huge frown and screamed. Deleted? Who deleted it? Class B was having a chemistry lesson now. The teacher just finished writing 2 questions on the board for the students to solve. However, her scream shocked everyone. They stared at her. The chemistry teacher immediately frowned and glared at her. He pointed at the board and shouted, Zhao Jingwei, solve the question on the board. It was only when the teacher called her that Zhao Jingwei realized that she was still in class. However, she wasn't listening and didn't know how to solve the question. She pouted as her face turned pale. She stumbled. "Teacher, I—" Qiao Chun was sitting at the center position of the third row. She heard what Zhao Jingwei said and saw the phone in her hands. Qiao Chun raised her hand. "Teacher," as she was the best artist and the top scholar in the class. The teacher knew that she had a bright future ahead of her and decided to listen to her. He stopped frowning and smiled. "What's the matter, Qiao Chun?" Qiao Chun tidied her hair and spoke gently. "I just thought of a solution for the questions. May I try?" The chemistry teacher initially wanted to teach Zhao Jingwei a lesson for using her phone in class. However, the teacher hesitated after thinking of the Qiao family. He nodded at Zhao Jingwei and said impatiently, "All right, you can take a seat." He then smiled at Qiao Chun and said, "Qiao Chun, you may try the question. Let me check if your solution is correct." Qiao Chun stood up and walked to the podium. Zhao Jingwei looked at her in gratitude after getting out of trouble. She then breathed a sigh of relief and sat back down. She bit on her lips as she thought. What did Qiao Nian do? How did the post on the notice board disappear? Very quickly, school ended. Shen Qingqing kept her bag, walked toward Qiao Nian, and asked, "Qiao Nian, do you want to go home together?" "No." Qiao Nian didn't bring many things. Shen Qingqing looked at her as she put a pack of gum, her phone, and a tablet into her bag. She then zipped the bag. Qiao Nian didn't bring a single book to school. Qiao Nian carried her bag, stood up, and continued, "I have something to do." Shen Qingqing saw that she wasn't bringing her books home and answered, "All right, we can go home together next time." "All right," Qiao Nian answered, which means that she had agreed. Shen Qingqing smiled as though she managed to meet her idol. It made Liang Bowen, who was keeping his bag, jealous. He looked at Qiao Nian and confirmed that she was just a girl. She agreed already. "What are you waiting for? Let's go." He then dragged Shen Qingqing out of the classroom. Qiao Nian looked at them as they left. She then frowned as she was about to leave. However, when she was at the classroom door, someone came over angrily and stopped her at the door. "Qiao Nian, did you delete the post on the school's forum?" It was Zhao Jingwei, who was waiting for her the entire day. Her shout attracted everyone's attention. Qiao Nian frowned and looked at her coldly. She then said, "Go away, stop blocking my path." She was fierce as well. Even though Zhao Jingwei wasn't rich, she was good friends with Qiao Chun. Hence, everyone knew that they were close friends. As Qiao Chun was a rich second-generation heir, most would give in to her. When Qiao Nian spoke in that manner to her, she was offended. Her face turned red as she screamed angrily. "Don't get cocky. I will expose you to everyone one day and make you leave first high school." Qiao Nian had walked around her already and couldn't be bothered to respond. Rao City was a second-tier city, but the hospital's business had always been good. It was almost 6 p.m. when Qiao Nian arrived at the city hospital. The sun outside had shifted to the west, and the afterglow was still too hot. She carried a white plastic bag with the name of the fruit shop printed on it. It contained something that looked like fungus but also meat, and it shook about in the bag. Goosen accompanied Yi Wangchuan to look for Yi Kitchen's doctor downstairs, and he spotted someone walking to the hospital with a fruit bag. "Isn't that Miss Qiao?" Hands in his pocket and biting a cigarette, Yi Wangchuan's face was originally full of impatience. Upon hearing this, he immediately looked up. Sure enough, he saw a slender figure at the elevator entrance. Goosen asked curiously, "Miss Qiao knows someone who is also hospitalized here?" What a coincidence. Thinking of the mala dinner he had with her last night, Yi Wangchuan was naturally aware of this. He said in a low, smooth voice, "It should be an elder of hers." Goosen turned to him with a look of surprise. "Damn it, Master Wang, you even know this?" However, Yi Wangchuan didn't even notice him. Ever since Qiao Nian's appearance, his eyes had been fixated. The girl stood at the elevator entrance and waited for the elevator while wearing the hoodie he had bought for her. The blue hoodie just reached her thigh, revealing a pair of beautiful and long, slender legs. The blue color also reflected against her complexion, making her skin shine palely in the crowd. Even her back figure could attract people's attention to her. "Gee!" Yi Wangchuan narrowed his eyes, blinking away the slight discomfort in him. Thinking in his heart, he told Goosen, "Go back and prepare some female jeans. then send them to the villa. Huh, why did Master Wang want jeans? Gu Sin scratched his head in confusion, but still obeyed the order. Okay. He looked towards Qiao Nian, then suddenly seemed to notice something. He pointed to the bag in her hands, surprised. Master Wang, don't you think Miss Qiao seems to be holding a tai sui? He had also been to the auction house that day. He had seen the legendary meat Ganoderma with his own eyes. It looked just like the contents of Qiao Nian's plastic bag. But far away, he wasn't too sure. He muttered, "No way. How could Miss Qiao obtain it? Wasn't it taken by the president of the Chung Phone Corporation? But it looks identical. If it was really the meat Ganoderma worth 10 million yuan, then he wondered how Miss Qiao could randomly place it inside a plastic bag." While talking, Yuan Chuan also glanced over, looking down at the plastic bag that Qiao Nian was holding. The appearance of the contents did indeed look alike. However, unlike Gusan, he didn't think it was likely for Qiao Nian to obtain the meat Ganoderma. But he still said mindfully, "Go and check the black market, see how many were auctioned off recently." Gusan nodded and obeyed his orders. At that time, the elevator arrived. Before they could say hello and see what she was holding inside the plastic bag, they watched her enter the elevator with the crowd. Looking regretful, Gu San still thought Qiao Nian couldn't obtain the valuable tai sui, but he still wanted to take a look. Looking up, he said to the handsome man beside him, "Master Wang, after we see the doctor, are we going to see the young master directly?" Sigh. The young master was really pitiful. He had lost his mother at a young age, and his father was also a scumbag playing up to those in power. If the old master and Master Wang hadn't accepted him, forcibly changed his surname to his mother's side, and taken him under their reins, the young master might have had to endure much hardships with his father. However, those people wanted to make use of the young master to curry favor with the Yi family. Thinking of the people in the ward, signs of impatience grew on Yi Wanchuan's face, and he said directly, "Wait for them to leave first. Go and check which floor Qiao Nian went to."